Hey guys, I want to take a second to thank Comfort Pro. Since 2001, Comfort Pro has been helping customers stay comfortable where they live, work, and play. They stand behind their work with a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. They have 24/7 emergency service, and if you mention the show, you receive a free watchdog maintenance plan for 1 year. Call Comfort Pro at 484-917-1803. 484-917-1803. That's Comfort Pro. If somebody comes to you and their company sucks, okay, or their services suck, I don't care how many Google ads and Facebook ads you create, it's still going to suck. This is going to be a good one, Hugo.
The Brad Weisman Show. Real people, real life, and everything in between.
So what do your kids think of this?
Oh, they are so embarrassed. I'm not here for the money, but I'll still take it. Take it.
Unfiltered conversations with the people shaping our world.
Because you're judging yourself by your intentions. They're judging you by your actions.
Exactly right.
You know, my wife said to me, you go to work and you give everyone the Mitchell buffet, and you come home and you give me the scraps.
And now, your host, Brad Weisman.
All right. We're back. It's another Thursday in paradise.
That's right.
Right? This is paradise right down here in the basement where nobody knows we actually hang out. It's unbelievable.
That's right.
It is funny. Everybody, it's funny. A lot of times people ask me, where do you do the podcast? I'm like, they're like, is it in your house? Is it in your house? I'm like, no, it's not in my house. It's in the basement of our office. It's where people put us. But so how you doing? You doing all right?
Good. Yes.
Awesome. We got a great guest here today, like we normally do. He's coming from Canada. We have a lot of Canadians coming into the studio here or joining us streaming. And it's kind of cool. It just shows you that they got a lot going on up there. They got a lot going on up there. So his name is Damiano, and I'm going to see if I got this right. It's Raven Theron, I think is how you say it. He caught my eye because he actually builds up agencies, they call them, makes them profitable, gets them running without him, and then sells them as an asset. And actually the quote or the thing that I wrote on the top of his, where his name is why most entrepreneurs build themselves a job instead of an asset. So I think we get caught in that trap a lot as entrepreneurs. So let's talk about that. All right, Damiano, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Brad. Thank you so much for having me.
Did I brutalize your last name? Was it close?
No, you got it.
I think it was
close enough.
I got to say, that last name made me really nervous. Really nervous.
I get that a lot. It's all good.
Yeah, it was good. It's a good one. So welcome to the show. I love it, the fact that we're talking to another Canadian. I mean, we're getting a lot of Canadians on the show, which is awesome. I mean, it's not like you're far away. I've gone fishing in Canada many times. Love it up there. It's a beautiful country, and it's not hard it's not hard to get back and forth either. It's pretty simple. You just wave your passport and you're in, you're out. That's good. So it's always a good time. But yeah, the thing that caught my eye was why most entrepreneurs build themselves a job instead of an asset. That was one of the things that stuck out to me. And maybe you can kind of right off the bat talk about that. It seems like you are very into coaching entrepreneurs or showing entrepreneurs how to build businesses or build agencies or build anything into an asset instead of just being a job. So why don't you dig into that?
Yeah, 100%. I'd be happy to. Yeah, I mean, I would say, my background is very much in building agencies. I'm 36 now. I started when I was 24, about 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I was living in Montreal. I moved to Toronto I was like bigger city, bigger opportunities. There's probably going to be a better job there for me. I moved, and after I paid my first month rent, I had $400 left in my pocket, and I freaked out. And so I literally walked into a bunch of stores. I had been learning to build websites by watching YouTube videos. And I just started asking random stores if they needed a website built and closed my first couple of clients that way. Over a period of 7 years, that little effort on that day turned into an $8.4 million company with 75 employees and 3 offices.
Wow. Whoa. Seriously? So, in 7 years?
Yeah, 7 years. And it did pretty well, but, halfway through that company, one of the things that I realized is that I don't have a background I don't have an MBA. I don't have a background in business. This was like just me getting started, figuring it out as I went, totally bootstrapped. And I had just had jobs until then. And so I had built the business to be very founder dependent. Everything was going through me. Every decision was going through me. Every escalation was going through me. Everything was basically like if I stepped away, the whole thing would fall apart.
Yeah.
Even though we had 75 employees and even though like everyone was doing what they were supposed to do, I still kept my cards close to my chest as much as I could. And I wanted as much control as I could through that.
Well, that's burnout. Did you burn out?
I did burn out several times. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, you'll stress out to the point where you'll it's not good. You'll need like meditation and stuff.
Yeah, I had a lot more hair back then. I could tell you that. But yeah, like I burned out, and I burned out several times, and at a certain point I was like, okay, well, burnout is mental, and so I started working on my mentality, working with a few coaches, like making sure that burnout was as far away as possible, and then my body started giving out. Right, you get sick because you're putting too much stress on yourself, right? And so I kind of realized at a certain point, and then the breaking point was really when my son was born, because my son was born with a very rare genetic disease. And so for the first 3 months of his life, he was in the hospital. And so I couldn't focus on the business at that point. I had to be at the hospital. I had to be there. And that's what really opened my eyes, where I was like, if I can't walk away from this and this thing can't keep going without me, this is not a business, this is a job.
Yeah.
And I was already like, 5 years into it at that point, of building myself into a job. And so the following 2 years after that really became about me taking a step back and being able to delegate correctly. I worked with Dan Martell. Dan Martell was one of my mentors, and he wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. And then I learned a lot from him about that, specifically about buying back your time. And over a period of 2 years, we scaled the business in a way that it didn't require me anymore. I was able to take vacations. I was able to go see clients wherever I wanted. I didn't have to spend all of my entire days on the phone as well, which was kind of nice. I had an executive team that was taking care of all of that, and the departments became pretty self-sufficient.
Now, do you think that the entrepreneurs suffer from control freak?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think that to me, and I mean, being in a leadership position in a company we have here, an ownership position, I think a lot of times it's very hard to leverage or to let go, because I think also the ego in us thinks that nobody can do it better or do it the same.
Yeah. And I hear that every day, right? I coach agency owners and entrepreneurs these days. And so I'm in these conversations a lot. The reality is, if you just figure out like what needs to happen, they don't need to do it as well as you do. They need to do it like 70% as well as you do. And the other 30%, that's on your processes. And if your processes are set up in the right way, you'll be able to take that person that's 70% as good as you, and that person will be able to give you the right outcome. Like one of the analogies that I usually give my clients is, we all been to high school, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys all had people in high school where you were like, man, this person's a total idiot. Like, what are they going to do like later on in their lives?
Yes.
And you look at them now, 30 years later, and they are, underwriters at insurance companies. They're literally in charge of deciding whether people get their insurance claims or not. And you're like, how did this person who wasn't the brightest light on the Christmas tree get a job that complex?
Yeah.
And the reality is that insurance company built their processes so well that they can take any idiot and put them into that position. And as long as they're following the playbook, the outcome's always going to be the same.
That's incredible. That's a really good way of explaining it. I've never heard it explained that way. And the only thing I'm afraid of, I wonder if I was the idiot that was. And now they're all going, look at this guy. He's running a real estate company. How in the world did that guy get to that point? I'm just really worried I'm the idiot. That's the only thing. But that's a great way of looking at it. That really, really explains things. And it shows you. So like you said, so the insurance company or the company that person's, let's just say Mr. I for idiot, wherever they're working has developed a process and systems that person can take care of their job. Hey guys, if you're looking to buy or sell a house in Berks County or beyond, let me know. This is Brad Weisman from The Brad Weisman Show. You probably know I'm also a realtor, but I wanted to remind you, if you have any questions or you need anything, please give me a call, 484-256-5836. Thanks.
Yeah, and like in some of these companies, they've spent millions of dollars doing that, right? Like banks and insurance companies and all these like super large companies, they don't want to rely on the talent of their staff to get a specific outcome.
Right.
So it is all into their systems. And that's what oftentimes as solopreneurs, like we lose track of that. Like there are certain skills that you have to learn on this self-development challenge called entrepreneurship. And that is one of the skills. It's no longer being a freelancer. It's building systems that are going to get people that are decently good, as long as they have 2 arms and 2 legs. And sometimes that's even debatable.
Yeah.
They should be able to do the job,
It's interesting. And also, my thing, you said you didn't go to college. Is that right?
I dropped out.
Okay. Well, I didn't even go at all. So, but do you think that that an MBA would have taught you what you learned during that 6 or 5 to 7 year period when you realized, oh my gosh, this thing won't run without me, or I'm not leveraging enough? Do you think you could have learned that in school?
No, I don't. And not only that, but I have a funny story. When I was in school, especially in college, like I was C or D student. Like I was really not good. I started cheating at a certain point. I started hiring people from Harvard because I was like, hey, these guys are also broke. So I might as well just work full time, take some of my paycheck, hire them to write my papers.
Nice.
And I passed a bunch of my courses doing that, but couldn't do it until the end. And like after my first agency sold, I got a bunch of press from that. And people from another university here in Montreal reached out to me and they were like, hey, we would love for you to give a class in our MBA program.
Wow.
And so for like a year, I did that. I was teaching an entrepreneurship class. And here I am, like I really wasn't good enough to go into an MBA program. And now I'm like teaching them how to do it. And I could tell that they asked me because it's super hard for people in those kinds of programs to get this like real life experience.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and that's why my clients come to me to learn this kind of stuff because there's nothing like experience. There's nothing an MBA program will be able to teach you about what happens if a client is really pissed off and is about to pull out of a $15K a month retainer and top of your revenue.
Yep, that makes you grow up real quick. You grow up real quick, and it builds. I always say builds a lot. I always say this in real estate. 2008 for the real estate industry for me built a lot of culture and character. I got a lot of character from that, man. Yeah, you learn real quick what you can do and what you can't do when you have a market crash in 2008. But but it's the same kind of thing. You learned so much in those 5 to 7 years. And now so now you take that on. And one of the other things I loved here, one of the quotes that you had in here was when a client doesn't understand your value, they start questioning it. Let's go into that a little bit about your clients. You said you lose a client that's producing 15,000 or 50,000 a month. You notice that when it's gone, and obviously you got really good at building the value of your brands that you had in order to sell those brands when the time came. So how did you get yourself to make sure your clients understood your value?
Yeah, I mean, in my space, in the digital marketing space, there's a lot of people that are selling services, right? A lot of people will be like, we'll go to a brand and they'll be like, hey, we'll sell you Facebook ads or Google ads or SEO. The reality is when you sell a service, you're playing a game that's it's a race to the bottom, right? Like if you're selling Facebook ads, the guy next to me is going to sell it for cheaper than you, and I'm just going to go there and get the same result. Yeah. And so a lot of getting the clients to see the value was around changing the positioning of the company, where instead of selling the service, we started selling the outcome of like, we are not going to sell you Facebook ads or Google ads as a service. Like we're going to sell you more business because that's what you want. Right. Wow. And so a lot of our positioning and the way we started pitching ourselves and the way that we built our services actually became that. And very quickly, I realized that like, hey, it's actually changing how we deliver things as well. Like where I was offering Facebook ads, but the outcome was this guy just want more business. And sometimes the solution is not Facebook ads. There's other ways to get them more business. Right. And so it got us to become a lot more strategic. And from that strategic standpoint and moving up the value chain, that's where the value for the clients really came. And that's why our clients stayed with us for a really, really long time.
Yeah, because if you think about it, if somebody comes to you and their company sucks, okay, or their services suck, I don't care how many Google ads and Facebook ads you create, it's still going to suck. So there's a whole world there. You're not just you can't just use Facebook ads to make you money. So it's spot on. You sold the results, not the ads, or what were they going to get from what you were serving them. And it's funny because, like you said, otherwise it's a race to the bottom because somebody's always going to undercut you. Always. Exactly. I say that about car sales and about home sales. We all sell the same things. It's a matter of the experience you have before it, during it, and after it. That's really what matters because we can all sell a car, we can all sell a house, but it's the experience and what you do for your client that makes them go, oh my gosh, Brad's the best. That's what makes the difference.
And building the relationships, right? Like you guys know this in the real estate space, right? Like,
it's all about relationships.
Yeah, I mean, in my space, there's a lot of agencies that will close a client. They're their best friends during the sales process, but as soon as they pay, they never talk to that client again.
How many times do I talk about that, Hugo?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
talk about that all the time in real estate. I say this to our agents here. When you win the sale, that's the beginning.
Exactly.
The process to the end of when the sale is over, that's where you gain referrals. You don't gain referrals by getting the sale. You gain referrals by what you did from the time you got to the sale to the time the sale was over, and then what you did after the sale. That's what matters. That's where you get referrals from. And that's where you get people coming back to you over and over again. Because like you said, it's the same in your business. Obviously, if you just go, you get paid and you say bye-bye, they're like, okay, they were in it for the money. They didn't really care about me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I get hit up by real estate agents all the time, but there was this one real estate agent here in Montreal when I was like looking for a house. I had spoken to her maybe once at a networking event. She sent me a birthday cake on my birthday.
That's
like,
amazing.
Wow, like that's, and I ended up working with her.
That's
just
amazing.
Because, like the hundreds of other real estate agents that reached out to me, none of them had that attention to detail. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, I will work with you too.
Isn't that funny? And look who's talking about it. And you're talking about it on a podcast.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? That to me is right there. It's that's incredible. But I'm not going to be sending you a cake for your birthday, just so you know. I just want to get that out here right away. I don't want you to think because if I asked you if you like chocolate or vanilla, then it gets really complicated. It's just too much.
Right. Do you have any allergies, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's cool. So, understanding your value is very good. And this goes right, and this is another quote. A lot of the stuff I just jotted down. You're no longer the operator, you're the architect. What does that mean? I mean, obviously that has a lot to do with building themselves a job instead of an asset. I would say that the operator is not the one that's going to be able to sell. The architect is the one that's sitting there kind of just looking over everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And what I usually tell my clients is like, imagine you need to build a house. You have a piece of land, you want to build a house on it. You're not going to go see a contractor and be like, here's $2 million, build me a house.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to go see an architect first, because you're going to need the guy to really think about the strategy and think about make the blueprint. And then once you're happy with the blueprint and everything makes sense, then the architect will give that to the contractor, which will go and build it. Right.
Yep.
In business is the same exact thing. If you're doing all the work yourself, you're the contractor without a blueprint that's trying to figure out how to build the best house.
Yeah.
And it's just not the right way to go. You should work on the blueprint. We work with this management consulting framework called Objective Key Results, or OKRs. And it's all about setting up really good goals, being accountable to those goals, setting up goals in terms of the systems that we need to build for us to achieve the outcome that we want, and then just giving it to the team and letting the team implement it. They are the contractors. They are the roofers and the foundation people and the flooring and all of that, right? So that's where you want to get to as a business owner.
So you have to trust your team. You have to trust your team, because you think about when you hire, it's a good analogy. When you hire a builder, you're not micromanaging the flooring people and the cabinet people and the countertop people. You go to the contractor, you trust one person, which is the contractor. And then that person is the person that you trust to make sure that all your dreams and wishes go correctly along the way. Because there's I used to be in new construction. There's 300,000 components that go into a home on the average. 300,000 different components. That's a lot to manage. And so you can't micromanage that. It just doesn't work. You have to trust each contractor that knows along the way what they're doing. So it makes a lot of sense. It totally, because otherwise, if you would hire the flooring person and hire the countertop person, that would be crazy.
Yeah, 100%. And especially without a plan, right? Without a blueprint.
Yeah, without a blueprint. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. For us, in our companies, at the beginning of the year, we lock ourselves in an office for 5 days just to make our plans for the year and to really know what we're going to be setting up and who we need to hire when and where do we need to be at the end of Q2, right? So that's awesome. Fundamental piece that a lot of people just really don't think about when they run their businesses. It's are you running a reactive business or a proactive business? Because if you're running a proactive business, you know exactly what needs to happen every week. Yeah.
That's a great lesson for anybody, for myself, for our company, anything is to really make sure each year you're not just doing the same thing every year. You're not running the same business every year. You have to have some kind of a goal or something that's going to put you as that's going to set you apart from everybody else in the next year. So it's good, good stuff there. The other thing I thought was interesting too is growth doesn't create problems; it reveals them. Boy, do we know that in our business. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm sure you see that a lot. What I guess you coach on that. You try to get people to understand that, or get them to realize that, hey, when you grow, that doesn't cause the problem. It just reveals the ones you already have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way that I pitch myself when I talk about what I do on the coaching side is, business is a never-ending exercise in problem solving, right? Just because you solve one problem doesn't mean you're not going to have any. Like, it's going to keep going. And even multi-billion-dollar businesses have problems that they have to solve every day. You're never going to be in a point in your business where there is no problem. It would defeat the purpose of the exercise. And so, I'm really the person that is there with business owners, specifically agency owners, in helping them with that process. They have problems, and I solved them before, so I tell them how to solve it. Yeah. And the reality is that just because you have a system that is shit doesn't mean that it won't scale. It's just that when it will scale, you'll just have more shit.
Yes, true.
And so that's the thing. Like, once you start scaling, you really start seeing the problems in your foundation. Yeah. Of like, well, this system wasn't as tightly knit as I needed it to be, and now that I've scaled and I have more clients, it's just breaking everything. Right. And it was there from the beginning. So I think that preparation goes a long way.
You even had an image, I think it was on your Instagram, of like a bridge with all this stuff coming down on it, and it was more and more business, and the bridge was like kind of crackling away. I'm pretty sure it was on your Instagram. Because I was doing a lot of research on you, but it was a good image to show. You might think that your structure is good, but the reality is any bridge can only take so much. You know what I mean? 100%. So if there was small cracks in the bridge before, and you put more and more weight on there, you're going to now reveal the problems you never saw before, because now cracks get bigger and become more dangerous, obviously.
Yeah. And you have to solve them instead of just keep on scaling. Sometimes it's okay to take a step back to solve those initial problems so that you can scale properly.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So this is the big one that was different for me, just because with Keller Williams, we have a different way of doing business and things like that. Not different. We're just more culture based and things. So I didn't know if it was different than how you're doing things, but you have down here building the sports team model. Explain to me what that means when it comes to building the company and leadership and the different levels and things like that, and how you work through having to remove people that maybe are not, up to where they need to be.
Yeah, 100%. So, I think that was a big mistake that I made with my first business. I really started building the business wanting to take care of my employees. Like, it came from a good place. And so I would always tell them, like, guys, we are a family. Like, we're a family here. But what do families do, right? Like, you can't just get rid of your brother or get rid of your sister, right? They're always going to be there.
You just ignore them.
Exactly. Yeah, basically.
When you go to the family reunion, you just ignore him, or you just wait until he drinks a couple beers and then you talk to him or something. But yeah.
Basically, which is not the right dynamic that you want in a business.
But by the way, I get along great with my brother. So just so you know, I didn't want my brother to hear this and go, oh, what is he saying about me? Yeah. I love my brother. He's great. So go ahead.
I do as well. But yeah, that's the thing. And very quickly, I realized that that kind of culture and that kind of mentality wasn't the right one for growth. We can't treat each other like family. That's not the right way to do it. And so eventually I came across the sports team model, where it's very much based on performance. Like, we will be nice to each other and stuff, but we'll keep each other accountable. And there has to be a certain level of performance. And if you're not performing to that level, you're going to get cut from the team, and we're going to replace it with someone else. Every team has to do that, because we're in a championship. You need to win. And so the way that I do that, there's a couple of ways. Like, we do employee reviews every 6 months. We give people KPIs that they have to follow and that they have to hit. They don't hit their KPIs, then we have a fork in the road. We either let them go, or we give them a performance improvement plan that is very specific. They have to hit certain goals by a certain time. And every 6 months, we fire the weakest link. We just ask ourselves, like, who is the weakest link in our company? We identify that person, fire them, replace them, and we'll do the same thing again in 6 months. And so after a while, we end up with a brand new team, but at least it's the highest performing team that we could possibly have.
But do you think along the line of the 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule just says that, 20% of the work's, 80% of the work's done by 20% of the people. Do you feel that if you're constantly firing that weak link, eventually the person that wasn't the weak link now gets pushed to being the weak link?
Well, hopefully you get to the point where you don't need to fire anybody anymore because things are working well, right?
Got it. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. By weak link, I mean someone who is like not consistently not hitting what they're supposed to be hitting. And the thing is, it's nothing against the person, right? They might be sitting in the wrong seat. Like they might be great at certain other things and not that. So by firing them, you're actually doing yourself a favor. You're doing them a favor too, because they could go and find something where they can actually perform.
I think we do the same thing. We just say it in a nicer way.
Right.
No, I think because Keller Williams is very much, it's all about culture and building leaders and things like that. It's a lot of those things. And really also the difference with us too, we're building culture and leaders out of people that are all self-employed that we work with. Right. So it's not, we only have so many employees. So we have 7 employees, but we have 145 agents that work in our company. So we're constantly trying to lift them up to make them the best business owners they can possibly be. So it's a little different. Whereas you might have 70 employees, and I get that. You have 70 employees, everybody's got to be pulling their own weight. And they got to be making their numbers and all that stuff. And it makes sense. So, so it's not it's not as, when I read it, I'm like, geez, this guy's just getting rid of people left and right. This guy's rough.
Yeah, no, the goal is to end up with a really good team.
Of course.
Right? Think of the Formula One, right? Like it's
totally get it. And it's too, what you said in there too, which is pretty much the way I always look at whenever you're letting somebody go or you're feeling that. I feel that you definitely are doing them a disservice by keeping them in a position that they can't excel in.
100%.
Because imagine what that's like for them coming into work every day, knowing that they're not keeping up with their promises or their commitments or what they're supposed to be doing. And I think a lot of times it's also, man, go out and find the right thing. Maybe you're actually you're an amazing painter. Maybe you're an amazing mechanic, or maybe you're an incredible engineer. Maybe sitting at this desk doing what you're doing is not your forte. It's not your God-given talent. And I think that's where I think we kind of go in that direction when we're, it's just kind of in a different way, So
for sure.
But I do like that. The coach, I like the sports team. I like the idea of that sports team model. I do like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And a lot of my clients, I get them to implement that into their businesses, and it's night and day, right? Just within a year, they skyrocket in a lot of cases, and they're way more confident in the team that they've had. I also have I'm a very empathetic person, so I don't like to fire people and have difficult conversations, but I had to learn to do it.
Yeah.
But now it's like in a lot of cases, if I know that I'm going to fire somebody and I really like the person, I'll usually try to line something up for them. I'll go into my network and I'll be like, hey, friends, family, do you guys need an extra person that can do this?
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Make the referral, right?
Yeah, and I think it's what it is. Most of the time, it's just not the right fit. It's really what it is. It's just not the right fit. I mean, that's the way I always look at things. I've been fired. Okay. I've been fired. When I was younger, I got most of the time when I got fired, it was because I was doing musical stuff or whatever. But I've been fired, and it's funny that now looking back, the times I was fired, best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing 100%. Ever happened to me. When I was let go or was told that, I wouldn't be here where I am today, if it wasn't for those people, because I could probably still be at a desk working for something and doing something I hate, So it's definitely, 100%. It's to me, it's a gift sometimes, or most times it is a gift. So let's keep going in here. I love this. It says the business you can't leave. How to recognize when your agency relies too heavily on you and what it's really costing you. I think that you realize that obviously in that 5 to 7 year, that big one that you did, the first big business you did, you realize that. And how do you recognize when it's time to get to that point? Because when you're building the company, you can't just disappear. There's got to be a point where you realize, you know what, I'm at that point right now where I need to leverage it all and start backing away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every business is different in that sense, but for the agency business, for example, the agency business model has been around for 200 years, since over 200 years, since 1812.
Yeah.
And so the business model has always been the same. And all of the problems in the business models have already been solved by thousands of agency owners before us. And so, there are certain things that you're supposed to do at certain times, and a lot of people miss them. For example, most service businesses are 4 departments: lead generation, sales, project management, and delivery. Once you hit your 10K a month, you get started, you hit 10K a month, you're there for 3 months in a row. The first thing you should do is get yourself out of project management and delivery and start focusing on lead generation and sales, because you're the founder. You're the only one that can generate those leads and close them, right? So ideally, you bring in someone that you hire full-time to just take care of what happens after the sale is done. At least in our business model, that's kind of how it works. you stay in that position all the way to 100K a month. But once you have more resources, then you hire out people to do the sales for you. And now you're like really sitting on that above everything and just making sure that things are moving in the right direction. And if you do it like that, then eventually once you scale, past $200,000, $300,000 a month, you bring in a general manager that will take care of the overseeing part. And now you're free. So
You're free to go.
You're free. Yeah.
You're free.
So there are certain things that you have to do at certain times.
And then sell it? I mean, do you think you sell it then? Or I mean, you could stay in that freedom part for a long time also and not have to sell it, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I've sold some of my businesses, other businesses. I still run them today. They're just making income for my portfolio. And then from there, I just take that and reinvest it in other stuff. And sometimes I'll buy more boring businesses. Sometimes I'll find a startup that's super interesting and put some money in it and just really start diversifying. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you could do.
Did you ever have to jump back in because the person you thought could do it wasn't doing it?
Yeah, many times. Absolutely. But what does jumping back in mean, right? Because if I have to jump back in and do the work, then that's not right. But if I have to jump back in to rehire someone that needs to do that work, I'll do that part for sure. Yeah. I mean, like in my portfolio right now, I have like 7 companies. And so I'm not in every company every day. But yeah, I'm like above all of it. And then I just travel a lot and meet people.
That's awesome.
I just shake hands and kiss babies.
That's good. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And then the other thing I was going to say, like, how about stealing from you, embezzling from you? Have you had those kind of situations?
Yeah, I did. Many times I learned.
It's so funny. Way. Everybody always laughs and smiles because it's pretty much, if you're in business, it's kind of happened.
It's part of the game, right? Yes, Yeah, I did many times. Many times. Do you want a story?
Yeah, sure. Give me a story, man. We got a little bit of time yet. Oh, he has to lean back for this one. You see that?
That's funny.
Yeah, when you remember, you look up.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All the way back to remember. No, like 6 years into my business, my first agency, here in Canada, we speak English and French.
Yep.
And so, we started off in English, but then we had a bunch of French clients come our way. I'm also bilingual. I speak English and French. And so started hiring more people that spoke both languages. And then eventually we started offering services in French as well. And then we started realizing that like, hey, you know what, like 30% of our revenue actually comes from French speaking clients. And then I was like, as a young entrepreneur, I was 29 at the time. I was like, hey, maybe we can open an office in France, more French clients.
Here we go.
And so I was like, oh, international expansion, let's do it. And I thought it was going to be great. I went to France. I met with people at the government there, went to the banks, like figured everything out. I traveled there like 3 times. And eventually I was like, I think my agency at the time was at $5 million a year. And so I ended up opening an office there. I hired a CEO that I was paying $250,000 a month. And basically I was like, all right, dude, like you got to build the French side of the business now, like do this. And he turned out to be a con artist, which I didn't know, right? Turned out to be a con artist. I brought in a client, which during COVID, the metaverse was taking off. Remember that?
Yep.
Like everyone was talking about the metaverse and metaverse properties. And
everything was metaverse. Yep.
Yeah. And this client basically came to me because he was like, hey, I have this huge artist, like this music artist in France, and he wants to do a concert in a metaverse environment. We're going to sell tickets for it. It's going to be great. All these fans are going to come to this virtual environment to watch this concert. And, like this wasn't foreign to me because like Travis Scott did a massive concert in Fortnite that ended up making like $25 million or something in like a couple hours. And so I was like, I understand this could definitely work. So let's do it. And my CEO, basically, he was like vouching for the guy. He's like, I've known him for a long time. This guy has a lot of money. I've been to his office. He's got like 40 people working there. And like over a period of like 7 months, they basically manipulated me and a bunch of other people into just fronting a bunch of work. And so we fronted about $275,000 worth of work. The guy at some point disappeared.
The guy that worked for you or the guy who was going to do the concert?
No, the client. Yeah, the guy who was doing the concert. He disappeared. When he disappeared, I actually started looking into him. I just Googled his name. Turns out that he was a career criminal.
My gosh.
There's huge stories in French about he had like the chief of police in his pocket. He was getting information and
you never Googled him because you just thought that he was vetted. You thought he was vetted. Isn't it funny when you trust somebody, when you trust this person, you trust the person they bring in without even asking questions. But now you will. But I'm just it went bad. So he was a criminal. He was a lifetime criminal. This guy,
100%. So he stole $275,000 from us, and then the CEO, because at this point I didn't understand they were colluding, right? They were like working with each other, the client and the CEO. So I kept on working with the CEO for several months after that, and by the time I understood what was happening, he had embezzled $1.7 million out of the company.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
See, now the MBA would never teach you that.
Yeah.
They don't have that
100%.
course in college. It's amazing. They do not have that course in college. Wow, dude. That's a lot.
Yeah. So that was a pretty big failure. I understood a lot about, I learned a lot about it, like international expansion. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Just because we speak French in Canada doesn't mean the people in France are the same. They're not at all.
Oh, and so gosh.
It was very, very difficult at the time when it happened.
But think about the coaching experience. I mean, obviously one point, how many million is a lot to make up, but think about the experience allows you to coach and also see that when something comes about that's close to that, it seems like that, you go red flag right away and go, okay, and it's like my dad always says, trust but verify. I think that's the biggest lesson my dad ever taught me from business is trust but verify. It's simple. Everybody knows that term, but it's true. I can trust everybody here. I trust Hugo, I'll still verify, but seriously, and you're stupid not to if you don't do that. It's actually crazy not to. But so I wanted to get into. We're going to wrap this up here, but I wanted to find out what is AI doing for you in your business or in what you're doing. Like what do you think of AI? How are you using it? Is it a good thing for you? Is it bad thing for you? Tell me a little bit about that, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime there's a really big technology shift like this, like for example when the internet came out, right? There's always agencies that think that it's the end of the world and they're going to be replaced and their business model is done. And then there's the other agencies that are like, hey, I'm going to use this. I'm going to adapt to it. I'm going to move up the value chain and I'm going to make this work for me. Right now, at least in the agency space, but in a lot of other spaces in business, I do think it's the golden age because all of the repetitive tasks and where you had to hire people before can be automated through AI. That forces companies to have to move up the value chain and have to talk about context and strategy and really be that brain where the execution is done by AI. In the agency space, at least in my agencies, margins are going way up because we just need less people, right? Yeah. Not sure what that's going to do for the world, but at least in business.
But you can't fight that. It's nothing we can fight. You can't fight that.
100%.
And I'll tell you, I have to say this when this has happened several times in my industry and back in, when the internet really started going on hold. Oh, Realtor.com. When that first came out, I remember agents, they were jumping off bridges, like saying that our business is over. It's done. And I remember the same thing happening with travel agents. I just had this, it's actually in my book that I'm writing. We talk about, there's a paragraph in there, we talk about travel agents and everybody thought travel agents were going to be gone. Yeah. And what really happened, the really good travel agents are making a shit ton more money now than before because they're providing a service because you and I who are busy people, we're on to leveraging, right? I know I can go on, like there's a trip my wife and I go on for 15th anniversary. I know damn well I can go on and research Napa. It's really not hard to do. And I know I can do all these different things, whatever. But guess what? I don't have time. I don't have time. So we have a friend of ours that is really good at doing it. She's wonderful. I like talking to her. She has all these ideas. That's who's booking our trip for us. Because she knows the quality, the real quality of the places as opposed to what we see on pictures. That's the only thing that's happened with the internet. You know how it is. You go online and you're like, oh, this house looks nice. And then you go see it and you're like, what the heck? So it's always nice to have that one-on-one, like somebody that actually knows about what you're going to be experiencing. So I think it's true too. And I think AI is doing the same thing. It's upping the game of everybody that doesn't give up. You're going to up your game. You're going to have a better value proposition and you're going to make more money. Your margins are going to get better. You're going to make more money. And the people that don't do it are going to be out of the business. It's the way it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it seems like it's the
been.
same in pretty much every business is what I'm hearing now.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's amazing. But you know what? What a great conversation, man. 40 minutes has gone by so quick. And I really enjoyed it. This was a good time. And
Likewise.
thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to get all your information so that when we post the show, we're going to have all the information. How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you and they want to get some advice or they want some coaching, whatever? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm very active on Instagram. So if you look for Damiano R, you can find me on Instagram. I'm also super active on LinkedIn. I have a pretty good following there. So you can just look for my name, Damiano Ravintaram.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your time and your knowledge about everything that you have there. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, cool. All right, there you have it. Damiano. I'm not even going to try it. He just said Damiano R, so I'm going to go with R. That way I don't screw it up. But, man, it was a great time. He's talking about entrepreneurs and about, creating, not having to create a job, but an asset. So if you're an entrepreneur, make sure you get to the point where you can leverage and you can sell the asset that you have. You don't want to have a job if you're an entrepreneur. You want to actually be able to sell it and move on and have the freedom that we talked about, which is most important. All right, that's about it. Come see us every Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to have some more great guests coming up. All right, thank you so much. Hi, this is Brad Weisman. Come back here every Thursday at 7 p.m. to watch The Brad Weisman Show. We have new guests every single week, and we love having you as an audience. All right, we'll see you soon.